Hello everybody, welcome to another What's the Combo. I am Excalibur of Excalibur Zone Gaming, and we are going over a pretty simple combo here, and it can be used for several purposes that require infinite mana. And we've got one that's showing here. So go to the graphics, and we've got 3 lands. They're important, and we've got 3 cards plus the card that is going to be used in the end. So the first thing we have to do is we have to make sure that our Argothian Elder and Morphling are in your graveyard, because our main dude here, the Necrotic Ooze, is going to be the guy that's going to be using the activated ability of the Argothian Elder and the activated abilities of the Morphling. Now, first and foremost, the Necrotic Ooze, as long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all creature cards and all graveyards. So these 2 guys are in the graveyard. Bam, the Necrotic Ooze can tap to untap 2 target lands, and it can be any of these 3. And it can accept blue mana to untap. It can accept blue mana to gain flying, blue mana to gain shroud, or 1 mana each for +1/-1 till end of turn, or -1/+1 till end of turn. So why is this cool? Well, with the Necrotic Ooze, and you've got at least 2 of these 3 lands in play, preferably probably these 2, because then you get an infinite amount of green, black, and blue. This just gives you black and green, but it is possible there. Each land produces 2 mana. So what you're going to do is we'll put these over in the graveyard like so you can see what's going on. These are on the battlefield, and this is in our hand. So what you do is you go ahead and you tap the Simic Growth Chamber, and you tap the Dimir Aqueduct, and you put out Rocket Launcher. And everybody goes, oh, well, that's cool. But then you tap Necrotic Ooze and activate his untap 2 target lands ability. You untap them. And then people go, oh no. Then you tap these 2, and you use a blue to untap your Necrotic Ooze, and that leaves you with 3 floating mana. And then Necrotic Ooze, you tap again, and then you tap for blue. You tap them both, and you just keep doing this, adding 3 mana to your mana pool every single time, until you get to a point where you say, alright, well, I have about 50 bajillion, or maybe a godzillion or jugjillion, any type of sufficiently large number that approaches infinity but is not quite infinity. Judges hate it when you go to infinity. And what you do is then dump the mana here. You do enough to kill off an opponent. If they throw up fog or something like that, then you just wait until next turn to put everything on their upkeep or the end step or something like that. But for the most part, you have an instant way to kill people. Although Rocket Launcher, that gets kind of screwy if somebody throws up a fog or prevent all damage this turn, because that guy gets sacrificed at end of turn. If there's some way you can bounce him back into your hand, like if you've got, I don't know, maybe you can flicker it using Venser, or with some other thing like Cloud Shift, or bounce it back to your hand. I think there's many spells that return permanents to a target player's hand. But anyway, the Rocket Launcher is the main key piece here. It's going to allow you to constantly bombard people with damage. Now, if you go ahead and you search for something else, say like Prodigal Sorcerer. There we go. That's another way you can do it. Let's hide this guy and then go down to the graphics. Prodigal Sorcerer. If he is in the graveyard, he taps doing damage. Let's go ahead and pull up a newer version of him. So we'll pull up the Time Spiral. There we go. That works. I think that's the closest we're going to get. Everything is alpha, beta, Revised Masters Edition. Yeah, it's got to be a Time Spiral. So here's the Time Spiral version. And it says tap, Prodigal Sorcerer deals 1 damage to target creature player. So this is the tricky thing. What you'll need to do is you'll need to build up your blue mana first. And you do that with the Argothian Elder and the Morphling. And since you're providing 2 blue each time you tap, so you'll tap to untap 2 target lands, and then you've got 2 blue, you tap to do a point of damage. 1 blue goes into untap him, and then he taps to untap the 2 lands, and then you tap him, you tap the lands. Blue to untap him and do a damage, and then blue to untap him again, and then tap him to untap the lands, and so on and so forth. So you'll tap him to do damage, tap these 2 to untap, then tap him to tap them again, then you just keep going. You're making 2 blue each time, so you have enough mana to untap him, then tap him for this, then untap him, and tap him for that. So you build up a lot of mana, and then you just ping everybody to death. That's another ping way to do it. And you could do that with Wolf Hunter's Quiver, or you can do it with any artifact that is equipment that attaches the Necrotic Ooze that allows you to tap to damage an opponent. You can set it up so that you, like with Retraction Helix, just bounce everybody's stuff to their hands and then kill people with Necrotic Ooze by beefing them up somehow. But resetting somebody's board state with Retraction Helix, we'll go ahead and pull that up while we're here. Retraction Helix. That is a really low casting cost card that we can use very, very nicely. Until end of turn, target creature gains tap, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So he's got to be in the graveyard too. There's your graveyard. Boom. I'll put the graveyard down there, and everything that's in effect up top here. So Retraction Helix gets put on our Necrotic Ooze, and now he has the ability to, let's just do this, YouTube. So now he has the ability to tap to return a target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So you return everybody's artifacts and non-shrouded stuff to their hands, leaving their land alone, and you create a bajillion mana and fire it at everybody. If they fog, then you wait and you discard Prodigal Sorcerer, and the next turn you just ping everybody to death with the Prodigal Sorcerer. There's a whole slew of different ways you can do it. With Necrotic Ooze, if you've got 2 cards, which work well with this, by the way. One is Grimgrin, Corpseborn, and the other is Bloodline Keeper. And you have these 2 guys. It works in this color combination, so it's fine. Grimgrin is blue and black, and he's got to be in your graveyard, as well as Bloodline Keeper. So if these guys are there, you can now tap to put a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So you tap your Necrotic Ooze, and you tap your lands, untap it, then you untap your lands, untap him, tap create a black vampire, tap these 2 and tap him, untap your lands, untap him, create another vampire creature, and just keep going and going and going and going. Make a bunch of these guys, and then sacrifice a bunch of the vampires to Grimgrin. And these vampires can now be sacrificed to Necrotic Ooze instead of using blue mana to untap him, because Grimgrin, whenever you sacrifice another creature to him, you untap him and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So now you're making infinite durdles and sacrificing them to the Necrotic Ooze to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like the Blob, if you remember that old 1950s show. And then you can attack somebody and take them out of the game. If it's the last attack of the game and there's only one person left in a multiplayer, then boop, there you go. You got it taken care of. So there is that option as well. And like I said, you can actually go in and get something like the Wolf Hunter's Quiver. Or I think it's the Viridian Longbow. There we go. And we can look at those artifacts, these equipment cards. Equipped creature has tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Or Wolf Hunter's Quiver, which this creature deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and this creature deals 3 damage to target werewolf. So pretty much you use either of these two to go ahead and infinitely tap, just like if he was a prodigal sorcerer, but these are equipment that you can put on him. You make the infinite mana to cast and equip it. There's also, let's go in here, and I think it's a Heartseeker bow. We'll see. I think I could be wrong. No, Heartseeker is unattach to destroy target creature. Well, that would work. That's an infinite removal. Maybe it's Heartstring. Let's just do a search for bow. And it's a new Khans of Tarkir bow. Let's see here. Heart Piercer. There we go. And the Heart Piercer bow is pretty easy to get out. So here's your Heart Piercer bow. And that, whenever equipped creature attacks, it deals 1 damage. So that really doesn't do it. I thought it was a tap and do damage. But anything that lets you tap and do damage as a creature, or as an artifact that allows you to put it on there. So you get all these things on, and as long as it's a single tap, and you can untap them either by sacrificing a creature if Grimgrin's there, or by using blue mana with Morphling is there, you'll be able to completely and utterly annihilate somebody's board and the other players. And that's the danger of the Necrotic Ooze. On my Grimgrin deck, I've got Necrotic Ooze, and I've got Bloodline Keeper, and Grimgrin is my commander, so I can make infinite durdles, and I've got Wolf Hunter's Quiver in there. So if I've got that combo, I can pretty much go off, especially if I've got like Cobble Coffers or Dimir Aqueduct in play. Then I can make well, I can't make it infinite with Morphling because I don't have the green aspect of Argothian Elder. But any green cards you want to put in there as well. Anything that lets you spend mana to create things, like maybe Pentivus. Let's take a look at Pentivus really quick. Alright, so the Pentivus, and he's a pretty cool dude as well. He comes into play with a certain number of +1/+1 counters, and for 1 you can remove a +1/+1 counter and put a 1/1 colorless Pentavite. And then you can and sacrifice a Pentavite to put a +1/+1 counter on Pentivus. So you can create your infinite durdles and then just bing back infinite mana and then bing back and forth between these two options. And if you have something like Conspiracy and Vengeful Dead, every time you sacrifice a Pentavite, if you've called zombies on Conspiracy, then, and we'll bring up Conspiracy as well, just to make sure you have it. Conspiracy. And also Vengeful Dead. There we go. Because these would actually fit well in this deck as well too. So here's your Vengeful Dead. He has to be in play in order for this to work, not in your graveyard. And Conspiracy has to be in play as well. We'll go ahead and move it over Heart Piercer Bow. So Conspiracy is, when it comes into play, you choose a creature type, you say zombie, then creature cards you own that aren't in play, that you control, and creatures you control are the chosen type. So anything in your graveyard, your commander, in your deck, and in your hand are all zombies, and anything on the battlefield is a zombie as well. So what happens is every time you create a pentavite, it becomes a zombie instead of a pentavite. But and that might be an issue there. So I don't think you can sacrifice a pentavite if it is a zombie. But I think pentavite is the name. So it's a pentavite token, and that gains the zombie sub thing right here. So pentavite, it's its name. I'll have to take a look at that. I'm not sure if Conspiracy would actually do anything with a pentavist like that. Would you be able to sacrifice the pentavite again? But if you can, then Vengeful Dead will ping every time you sacrifice that pentavite. Or every time you sacrifice one of these vampires to Grimgrin's ability. So you tap, create a vampire, sacrifice it to untap it, deal a point of damage, and do that an infinite number of times with just these two cards in your graveyard, this guy out in play, and this guy out in play. You don't need anything else. If you're running with green and blue, then Necrotic Ooze can untap lands indefinitely because of the Morphling's ability and the Argothian Elder's ability. So there are many different ways you can go. You can go straight down to blue-black, and I think there are ways that you can go just mono-black. But the trick is to untap this guy, and I think that's where Grimgrin comes into play. So that's it for this combo. The Necrotic Ooze, Argothian Elder, and Morphling is a 3-color combo. I find it hard to get that out because, well, I have no luck with 3-color decks. That's me. But with these 3 cards, you have infinite mana as long as you have 2 cards, 2 lands in play. And especially if you have 2 dual lands like this, or double lands. So you tap for blue-green, tap for blue-black, and then you use the Argothian Elder's ability to untap them, and then the Morphling's ability to untap him, and then do it all over again, over and over and over and over and over and over again, gaining 3 mana each time. I think so long as you have +1/+1 counters on the Necrotic Ooze, which you would get from Grimgrin, that would work with Pentavus. So if you have Grimgrin and you get a +1/+1 counter on the Necrotic Ooze, you can remove a +1/+1 counter from the Necrotic Ooze and then sacrifice it to Grimgrin to get a +1/+1 counter and untap him. And the problem is getting the infinite mana. That's the issue right there. And the best way to do that is if you have infinite mana here, or if you have a Phyrexian Altar, and you can sacrifice other things to the Phyrexian Altar, but then you're talking about you have to have Doubling Season in play, or some other token doubler in play. So you sacrifice 1 to Phyrexian Altar, and then you sacrifice 1 to the Pentavus ability, so on and so forth, up and down, left and right. The fastest way is Bloodline Keeper, Grimgrin, and this guy, and then straight to infinite death when you have Vengeful Dead in play, or at least you can kill one person with the infinitely large Necrotic Ooze. In this deck, you can also have Morphling, which would then pop this guy and allow you to untap him at least once or twice. And if you can get multiple attacks, then maybe in a blue, black, red deck instead of blue, black, green, you might be able to get multiple attacks going and take the opponent out. So until next time, enjoy playing games, enjoy playing Magic the Gathering. Keep your eyes open for infinite combos because they can be fun to play with and an easy way to lose your friends when you play them against them. Please like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps me to know what content you guys are watching, what presentation style I'm using, and stuff like that, so I can make better content for you, produce more content that you're looking for. If you could, please visit www.patreon.com/ExcaliburZone and become a patron, because even $1 a month helps, especially since 1/2 of all my net funds that I get from Patreon go to charity. So not only are you helping me, you're helping a bunch of other people who need the financial aid. And by helping me, you also get more of my time so I can create more content and provide more giveaways and do a whole bunch of other stuff. As always, this is Excalibur, and I am out.